Very excited to be here. I hope you are excited as well. We talk about movies here on Aristotle Full Throttle every day. We also talk about social issues, as it turns out, because of the latest climate of everything. Hi, Mom. Welcome. Hello to everybody on Facebook. Scrolling past this. Thanks for stopping in for a couple seconds. I appreciate that. It counts towards something, I'm sure. Very excited. It's Juneteenth, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Juneteenth. June 19th marks the official, actual, real kind of end to slavery in America because you know what happened? They didn't know in Texas for like 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation that there was an official end to slavery. So there was a general that was sent to Texas on June 19th, 1865 to say, hey, everybody here, get with the program and realize that all humans are created equal and should thus henceforth be free. People. Still working on that one. That's the ideal anyway. Still working on it, guys. I know it's hard. There's some things we can do. There's lots of stuff we can do, and we should do them every day. I'm Aristotle Full Throttle. I'm here every day at noon. I usually kind of hang out for a couple minutes and shoot off at the mouth until people start populating the room. So that's cool. I'll wait. It's Juneteenth, ladies and gentlemen. It's an important day. We celebrate the 4th of July. We celebrate America's independence from the British Empire, from the king. We celebrate that with hot dogs and American flags all day. But hardly nobody even know about Juneteenth unless you're from like the South. Texas was the first place to declare Juneteenth a holiday. It should be a national holiday. Guess what, everybody? I'm asking that we all get another day off. Don't you want that? Don't you want Martin Luther King and Juneteenth to be celebrated just as much as the 4th of July on account of the fact that these are incredible moments of freedom? Juneteenth marks the end of slavery, kind of a more official moment of freedom, of independence for the United States. That is something that we should actually recognize. Look, the 4th of July, cool. We separated, we became an independent entity. We declared our independence from Great Britain, from England. Dropping things all over the place. I think the best time to deal with what I just dropped on the floor is to take a moment out of the show and do it. No, I'll do that later. I think it's funny because, thank you. You know, we separated from the UK, from England, and we were like, hey, we're independent. But we were not yet free, were we? We kept people, human beings, not free. Today, yes, no one on Periscope. Someone is going by the name of No One. Hello, V. What's up, Ange Nolans? I'm going to call you Ange Nolans because Ange N-O sounds like I'm saying no. You know when you're a kid and you have to spell everything? N-O spells no. Kids are great. None of your B-I business. What is B-I? What is the B-I? None of your B-I business. Sometimes the things get lost in the shuffle and people say them inaccurately and they're not sure what they're saying. Especially when you're 3. I hope there is a rise in human intelligence right now. I hope we do step forward into the future and start arguing about other things other than race. Because it's getting tired. Let's get mad about something else. Find something else to get angry about. I don't like the way you drink your coffee. You make noise when you eat. There should be people who chew with their mouth open and chew with their mouth closed, and that should be the battle that we're fighting. Ange Nolans. And you tell me how you would like to be identified, and I will accordingly call you that. I respect that. Having a name like Aristotle, and then constantly, you know, it's not a hassle. I think people think I think it's a hassle being named Aristotle or being brown. I don't. I'm just sharing my experience of when there's something that you encounter a lot in your life, you tend to find the humor in it. And I find it funny to illustrate to people, because if someone's like, is your name Aristotle? Yeah. Is your name really Aristotle? Yeah. Like, is that real? Did your parents name you that? Yeah. Why you keep asking me the same question? That's a Hannibal Buress joke, because his name is Hannibal. He's very funny, and he has a similar issue in his life, that he's like, there's only two people that he was named after a general, but people only know about Hannibal Lecter. But when you have that encounter literally every day of your life, when you're me, you find it funny. You see it as funny. You're like, okay, this is actually pretty funny, because this is my Groundhog Day, is people asking me if my name is really Aristotle. But to that person, it's like they never met an Aristotle. It's like it's a whole new day for them. They're like, wow, this is cool. I'm meeting someone named Aristotle. This is actually something that I might remember. For me, it's like every day. So I find it funny to share that with people. Hey everybody, what's up Will? What's up Rich Bad? What's up Simply Rocco? Welcome guys, I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. This is Aristotle Full Throttle every day at noon on Instagram, Periscope, remember that? It's actually Twitter now. It's just kind of like one entity. Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, we do all the things. We're on all the platforms. We talk about movies, entertainment, fun stuff we like to talk about and just unabashedly enjoy. And we have a good time. We also talk about some things that are going on in the world, like right now. Things that are going on right now. It's important to synthesize those ideas. You know why we like movies like Justice League? Why we like movies like the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Why I like those movies? I'll tell you why. Because it's an ideal. It reminds us of what we think we would do in that situation. When there was an insurmountable alien invasion and then we had to take over. If we were Superman, we would do the right thing, we would think. It's an idealized version of reality. We're like, yeah, of course, if I had superpowers, I would defend the Earth, just like Captain America and those people on that side of the Sokovia Accords would. I would do the right thing in the face of insurmountable evil. If there was like an army of darkness coming at me, I'd tighten my shield and stand up, straighten my tie, and I would go after it. That's what we think we would do, right? But it's funny because we find ourselves in that position right now with like COVID-19 and social issues. We find ourselves in that literal, actual, real world scenario, whereas the Marvel movies are like this imaginary, obviously ridiculously fantastical situations where we're like, oh, cool. Of course we're going to defend humanity, and of course we're going to snap our fingers and make everything better, and everything will be good, and we will make the sacrifice play for the human race, and we know what the right thing to do is because we're American, goddammit. We do the right thing, except, in 2016, but the economy, I'll vote for the racist, that's okay. I'll vote for a racist in 2016 in America. I'll vote for the guy who clearly separates, actively works against unity. Because, the economy, I don't know, it's money involved. I would, But I'll go see the Marvel movie. I'll go see Captain America do that. I'll go see the Justice League Superman standing up to Darkseid and the evil Steppenwolf born to be wild guy with the hair, the horns. I'll go watch that and pretend that I would do that in the scenario in case when I was faced with a choice to make, one right, one wrong, or one basically, right and wrong is relative. So based in the morals and the ethos of American ideals. Yeah, I watch them do it. But when it comes to wearing a mask, it's hard. It's uncomfortable. I have to cover my nose and my mouth. It's kind of a hassle. I don't know. We had a party. We were hanging out. Social distance. It was cool. We were social distancing at the restaurant. Indoors. But, when it comes to saving the human race, I would be first there to do it. Except for when it actually comes to saving the human race. What's up? Will is lurking while he's working. That's how to do it, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate that you got it. Like, this is kind of like, that's fantastic. This is the relationship we have. I am on in the background while you're working in the background. This is like an ideal. I used to get by at days of work like that. I used to have a headphone I would string up in my shirt and put in my ear and listen to my talk radio shows. And now I'm just paying it forward. I had nightmares about that stuff as a kid and a teen, except for lucid dreams. I pretty much consistently ran and hid, says Will. Yeah, the trick is, Will, when you got, when there's a boogeyman in the room, you got to get under the sheet. It's science. You got to tuck your feet under the sheet so that they don't hang out from underneath, because then the boogeyman can't eat your toes. We learned about that. We learned about that in science class. Hey, Tatiana, what's up? I. Shy. What's up, Shy T? I'll call you Shy T. That is phenomenal initials. First name and then the last initial. It's working for you. It's pretty great. My nickname in high school wasn't fun either. I can't remember. Shy says, I can't even get my name printed, Yeti mugs, because it's too close to cuss words. Oh, that's a bummer. Name problems, I'll tell you. I'll tell you a name problem I had, Shy. Worky lurkers. Eva is also a lurking person. Don't be... this show is not X-rated, so I'm not going to say jerkin. Gherkin. Eat pickles while you are lurking. It's kind of the problem with superhero movies. You can easily distance yourself because they have superpowers and we don't. Jake, thank you for that. That's Jake A., longtime fan of the Aristotle Full Throttle program. We say program over here. Speaking of program, that's the language that Jake talks. That's interesting. It's so true. We separate ourselves from... We idealized versions of like these tropes, these archetypical characters that will do the thing that is absolutely according to their character. And it's funny and disturbing when we see them act out of character. And it's easy for us to identify when they act out of character because we're like, Captain America wouldn't do that. He definitely wouldn't do that. He never breaks character. He's always true to his core. Superman is like that too, except for when Superman woke up and he was in a haze in Justice League and he was like, what's going on? I'm in a haze. Pet Sematary jokes. And then they fight him, which is a pretty phenomenal scene. I watched that on HBO Max the other day when Unite the Seven, and even though it was 6 of them, very confusing, very confusing marketing campaign for Justice League because Snyder left halfway through and they had to pick up the slack. After Zack Snyder, the director of Justice League, the original director, had to leave because of a family tragedy, Joss Whedon took over the Justice League movie, and they had to like redo everything. If you look at the earlier promo materials of Justice League, it's very dark, and everybody's making this face. This is the face they make. I'm holding a staff. I am very evil looking. Or not evil, but just menacing looking. Aquaman, though. How menacing is he? But, yeah, Superman will never bend to others' ideals unless he is not himself. And then we recognize that right away when someone's not themselves. So, but Shy, I got to tell you, the program, the thing that would happen to me, I would watch a show when I was a kid named Aristotle, or you can call me Ari. Rhymes with Harry, rhymes with Larry, rhymes with Gary. Even though I do that, here's the humor in it. I notice, like, I say that I do this stuff a lot because it's my daily life is just like, well, what's your name? My name's Ari. I'm going to call you Ari. Fine. But I explained like 4 times that, like it clearly, I think it's funny because you know when people know you, at a certain level when they actually are willing to pronounce your name. No, it's funny. But it's fine. I mean, who cares in the end, you know? It's just, it doesn't affect anything, but it just, I find it funny when you're like, because I take my time to learn someone's name. If someone's name is not it's a common pronunciation, I will learn it, Eva, because I like to understand how people identify and what they would like to be called and what they're into and whatnot. Ange NO is into DC, so we're going to dedicate the show to Ange NO, because we're going to talk about Snyder, Zach. Snyder, Zach. But when I was a kid, Shy, I watched this show. It was called Romper Room. This was in 1867. It was a puppet show that you had to go to. When I was a kid, there was a show called Romper Room, and I would watch it every day before school. It was very early in the morning. And at the end of the show, the host, she would hold up a magical mirror or a magical thing, and she could claim to see everyone in the audience. Now, as a kid, I'm confused, right? I think she can really see me. I think she can look into the camera and actually see me like I can see you right now. All right? All right, well, put your pants on. You're at work. Damn it. So I could see you right now, just like she could with her magical mirror. And she would say everybody's name. So, I see Bobby, I see Sally, I see Johnny, I see Freddie. She would say this every day at the end of the show, and I would wait for her to see Ari. She never saw Ari. She never saw Ari, nor did she see Aristotle. I felt left out. It hurt me so deeply. I don't think it's... A lot of people would be like, this is why you're a social justice warrior. I'm like, okay, I don't care what you think. I don't... It's... Stories like that, I say them because they're funny, mainly. Yeah, there's like a real... there's a modicum of like actual pain, but I think that's where funny starts. Funny starts with like a little drop of blood, and then you turn it into a funny tree. Because, you know, you plant blood into the ground and it goes into a funny tree. That's what we do here on Aristotle Full Throttle. So I think that's where a lot of art comes from. I think that's where a lot of good art comes from, is maybe a little bit of actual resonant energy. Sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's negative, but it's okay, because that doesn't mean it's good or bad. It just means it's positive. It means it's negative. Am I right, batteries? So, Shy, I feel you on that. They could never find my name on that magical mirror. I can never find my name on a mug at a gas station or a keychain. I've been looking my whole life. I will stop. If you know me, I used to tour in a rock and roll band. We used to stop at, I don't know, Cracker Barrel. They're pretty racist. They're fun. I have some Cracker Barrel racist stories. Really funny, because my bandmates, who are not necessarily people of color, they would just be like, they'd be like, oh, this is what racism looks like in action. I'm like, yeah, just so you know, that was racist. And they're like, oh, I see it. It's good to have good friends. Like one of my best good buddies, Ollie, drummer. Jake knows Ollie. And yeah, if you know me, I'm going to give you a little insight, a little hint. If you ever travel with me, if any one of you are ever on a road trip with me, and I'm looking at the keychains, I'm looking for my name. I've been doing it for my whole life. Haven't found it yet. Well, those Coke bottles, it says people's names on them. You know, the Coke. I want to get a Coke, customize a Coke, and I want it to say, right on the side of the Coke can, diabetes. I think that would be accurate. Diabetes in a can. Coke will do that for you. Hey guys, look at this. We've got so many people here today. I'm so excited. Yesterday, what dropped? This teaser. The teaser for the Snydercut. HBO Max. I don't know if you have HBO Max. I've got HBO Max because I was like, screw it. $7.95 a month for the first 3 months or whatever. That's how they get you hooked. Forget what it was. I don't know. There was some kind of deal going on. I took advantage. I'm like, yeah, I'll get some HBO Max. Good movies on there. Cool programs. Lots of cool film history. If you're a history buff for films like I am, they got all the Turner Warner classic, Warner Brothers, See the Cops Coming, Warner Brothers classics on there. It's pretty good. Pretty good stuff. A lot of Looney Tunes. TUNES. Because it's about the music. You know what's funny? I wonder if they have the Warner Brothers cartoon versions where someone would get blown up and they would turn black and they would start speaking black, Southern black. You guys remember that? I remember that. I was like, wait, I don't get this joke. When one of the Warner Brother characters, the Looney Tunes characters, would explode with a stick of dynamite and their skin would turn black and they'd have like white lips. And then they'd start going, well, I say what I say, y'all. And you're just like, something doesn't feel right about this. This is odd. I don't know why this is funny. Feels outdated. When I was a kid, that's what I thought. I was 4. Feels like this is from another time. Feels like if I was 90, I would think this is funny. I was 4. But we got a first glimpse at the Snyder teaser, the Snydercut of Justice League. I don't know, guys. It looked like it was going to be like a little bit of Tomb Raider in there. You got Wonder Woman. She's in a cave. There's like 2 shots, really. Just 2 scenes, 2 locations. Wonder Woman's in a cave. She sees a picture of Darkseid on the wall. Now, Darkseid wasn't even in the released theatrical cut. We got Steppenwolf, Born to be Wild. Steppenwolf. Really generic character. They actually changed his design closer to the release of the film. He was supposed to look more like he did in Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice, or BVS-DOJ. Department of Justice. Remember that there was like him with the mother boxes and he was like, I'm Steppenwolf. I am just going to be this vague, unrealized character. Not unlike Thanos was. I move away from the mic. Like my friend Tazon Day. I move away from the mic to breathe. I learned that technique from my friend Tazon Day. By the way, he has got a great tweet from a couple weeks ago because they were playing Chocolate Rain, his hit song, Chocolate Rain. Guys, you might make fun of Tazon Day or his music, but you'd be misguided because his intentions have always been pure. He had that song Chocolate Rain in 2007 or so. I forget. A while ago. And it was a hit song. Like it or not. It's not easy to do that. I was in the music business and, dude wrote hits. So Tazon Day had a clip a couple weeks ago, a tweet, which was really funny because they were playing, someone hacked the police radio station or the police radio channels in Chicago, I think, or Minneapolis, and they were playing Chocolate Rain all day and all night on all of their channels, so they could not play. They were basically using psychological warfare on the police. And Tay is hilarious because he tweeted, I move away from the microphone for justice. For justice. Dude's got a phenomenal voice. I will try to also emulate his voice. You guys excited about the Snydercut? What do you think? I'd like to see some of your opinions. I was called America Online for all of high school because they found out my initials. Uh-oh. AOL. Angelo is AOL. That's funny. I'm going to call you Angela. Angela's fine. That's what I'm going to call you. Thank you, Angela's fine. But I'm looking forward to seeing an alternate cut of alternate universe of what was going on in that Justice League movie. Movies are weird because they're put into motion and they're given a release date before they're even finished writing them. Weird. It's like scheduling a christening for your kid before they're conceived. Bizarre. That's so strange, Mando. I'm going to talk like Carl Weathers for the rest of the show. I hope you can deal with that. Apollo Creed. Man, just imagine being Carl Weathers. I would like to dedicate this show to Angela's Fine, but also this week to Carl Weathers. Because Carl Weathers, this dude has been weathering the storm of entertainment business for like 45 years at least. And he's hanging in there, man. You got to do that. That's what you got to do. We have to be like these heroes. And, you know, I don't know, work out all the time. What do they do? What do the heroes do? And that's what heroes do. Can you guys hear me fine? I mean, I don't want to be overmodulated. Maybe I do. Sometimes it sounds cool. But I was watching that teaser trailer, and I thought, this is a little bit like Tomb Raider. This is a little bit like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Darkseid. Steppenwolf being undeveloped in Batman vs. Superman. But think about how Thanos' arc went. In the original Avengers movie, that's when we first had a glimpse of Thanos. It was Thanos' army that got sent to Earth to destroy it. And we've been following that arc for 8 years, at least 7 years of just the Thanos arc in all of the movies. Pretty cool. The way they built it up, all of the post-credits in the Marvel movies where they would just show more and more why Thanos is like, I'm going to do this myself. I got to take care of Tony Stark. Tony Stark was my biggest adversary. He actually defeated me decisively in the Battle of New York in 2012. So that's why in Endgame, Thanos looks over and he's like, Tony Stark. And he's like, you know me? Well, you're not the only one cursed with knowledge. Because Thanos is a brilliant tactician. He's a brilliant warrior, tactician. He knows his enemy. Just like Rage Against the Machine knows their enemy. He knows their enemy. He knows know your enemy. Pretty smart. Those movies are incredible. I'd say New Rockstars does a really great job of breaking down all of the Easter eggs in these movies. They're like hour-long videos that I've been watching lately. Because, you know, they're stuck at home like we are. Just wear a mask, people. Just wear a mask. Just wear a mask. Gavin Newsom yesterday said everybody's got to wear a mask in the state of California. Now, this has already been a rule in the city of California. In the city, what are you doing here? In the city of Los Angeles. This has already been a rule. We've already been doing this. However, I would drive maybe 5 minutes out of town, and then there's like zero mask compliance. Nobody's wearing a mask. So he's like, all right, everybody in California, if you go out into the public, you need to wear a mask. Damn it. There is a real actual pandemic happening, and people do not seem to care anymore. I think there's a point where... Uh-oh. Sorry. Sorry, guys. You could still hear me, but for some reason my camera just shut off. I don't know why. Hang on a second. Here it is. It's back. And we're back. Sorry about the color bars there. That was like an official... That really felt like you were watching TV and all of a sudden... You know what? It's the government. They're trying to shut me down, man. No, sorry. It was a little power surge. Probably the auto shut off on my camera. But let's say the government was trying to shut us down for truth and knowledge, man. If we create a false flag, we can, the show will blow up. Everybody will be watching it. They'll be like, this guy says things with his mouth that aren't lies. He actually wants to talk about real things because a lot of people want to avoid them. We got to figure out how to soften people up with, you know, looking inward. there's I don't know. Everybody in California's got to wear a mask now in a public space. I think that that's a good rule because pandemics, you know, I love them. I know. Listen, guys, if you're finding it difficult to wear a mask, and if it's really hard for you guys to social distance, suck it up. Try harder. It's pretty freaking simple to mitigate a pandemic. Just try harder. That's the problem with superhero movies. You can easily distance yourself because, oh yeah, I'm rereading that comment. Anyone else want to chime in? Will? I could keep going. I would like to talk about the news. I would like to talk about Juneteenth. Today is Juneteenth. Obviously, it's June 19th. When it gets all folksy, you shorten it to Juneteenth. Because that sounds cooler, by the way. Juneteenth. I think that sounds way cooler. It's much better branding. I think it should be a national holiday. Juneteenth. Like, why wouldn't we celebrate the day that all Americans got to be free? Not just, you know, the privileged. Maybe not even the privileged, but the majority. All Americans are free on paper. But we have to actively just work against the racism situation going on that's ever present. And a lot of people feel that it isn't or wasn't, or it affects some more than it affects others. But the fact that, like, I know that I still kind of get this from some of my friends where they're like, well, you know, it didn't really affect you that much. I'm like, wait a minute. First of all, how do you know that? Second of all, because I don't really drum on about it. And I haven't, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It doesn't mean I haven't experienced this. Just because you haven't heard me talk about this stuff to this length before doesn't mean I didn't experience it and don't want to talk about it. It's weird. It's like, hey guys, you should be fine, right? You're fine, right? I mean, it's not that bad. I don't want to feel that bad about this. You're okay though, right? Yeah, relatively okay. However, when I go, come to think of it, there's a lot of crap I've endured I didn't have to. And so let's make it right from now on. Let's make it right. And let's work at making it right. And please stop denying my reality. Because that's called gaslighting. People find it so difficult to deal with the... Hey, what's up, 420 artists? Welcome. Nice to see you, man. People feel like... I guess they feel like they don't want to feel too bad about what's been going on. So they're trying to find situations where it didn't affect people too harshly. And that's just weird. Just freaking accept that it's crappy and should be better. And let's work on that. It's totes crappy. Think about it this way. I've been thinking about this a lot. When you're a child and you're in school and you learn about slavery, right? Now, this is a natural reaction, and we have to work to combat this. But you're a little kid, all kids of all colors, white, black, all kids, right? You're in school, you're in American schools, and you're learning about slavery for the first time, and it's pretty horrific. You're like, but it's kind of introduced over time, and they teach you about it. They're like, Americans, there used to be slaves, and it's kind of weirdly distant. Because you're like, this is a history book, and here's a picture of a slave, and here's what it used to look like. But try to imagine this. You're a young black kid, or you're a young white kid, and you're reading that book, that history book in school, and you're seeing literal pictures of like a white guy holding a whip and a black guy doing some work on some land. And you're like, okay, that's horrible. And then you go, so if you're a black kid and you're like, you might feel like, this is kind of ammunition. It's almost like mental ammunition that this image. Now, if you're a white kid, if you see that image, there's some level of like conditioning that's happening then that you have to work against, because it's an image that you have where like the white people were in control and the black people were subjugated and enslaved. And then you look at that image and there's almost like a perpetuation of the concept of that being part of our social structure. Because you might be a kid going, well, it's hard to empathize with people who don't really look like you. So you got to work at it, work at showing the experience, work at having everyone feel the experience that others are feeling. And that image is just kind of needs to be shown, but also we need to combat the idea that that was ever acceptable. But I think a lot of kids grow up, and maybe in the South even, and they're thinking, I say this because I saw a clip of a guy waving a Confederate flag. This was on Last Week Tonight a few years ago. And there was a black guy confronting the white guy waving the Confederate flag. And the white guy was like, my family fought for this flag. My ancestors, they were property owners. They worked hard for what they had. And the black guy says one thing. He says, who worked that land? Now, what the guy replies to that, which there is no reply because it's obviously his ancestors were slave owners, according to that man himself, because he said, do you know how much a slave cost back then? My family they were poor. Their slaves cost a lot of money. So to this day, there's this idea that it still exists in that guy's mind that at some point it was okay to own a slave. And what we got to realize is it was never okay. That hierarchy was never okay. That system, the system that was in place that allowed for that, was never okay. People, I think maybe kids, get this impression that, at one time it was okay to own slaves, and now it's not okay anymore. What we need to really emphasize is like, no. This was never okay. It might have been what we did. It was an absolute horrific travesty and a complete disregard for human life. That's what it was. And we need to really hammer home that concept and really just as much as we can. I didn't want this show to be about race issues in America, but I'm an American and I am in America and I've experienced these things. And right now people are like, well, I'll listen to you. Well, let me listen. I would like to listen. And it gets to the point where you're 3 weeks into the massive Black Lives Matters movement like we are right now. And then people are like, how much more are you going to talk about this? Because I said I was going to listen, but I don't know. You've been talking about this for 3 weeks now. Getting kind of tired of it. I need something else to talk about. And I know it was bad. I get it. It was really bad. Sorry. It's not about that. It's about the fact that there's a real pain in real society. There's real pain. There's real pain. Just acknowledge it. You don't have to make it better. I don't have to make anyone else feel better about feeling pain that perhaps the society that has benefited them has not benefited me in certain ways. But just go, you know what? Yeah, that is horrible. That is awful. And let's fix it. That's all. That's really it. Just say to each other, wow, guys, we really screwed up this whole society thing, didn't we? Our bad. Wow. Let's fix that. I think that Carl Weathers should run for governor. Carl Weathers. You ever notice in Predator, everybody talked like that? When I was a young boy watching the movie Predator with Carl Weathers, because he should be governor, because there's 2 governors that were in the movie Predator. I noticed when I watched that movie when I was a young boy, I was watching the movie Predator, and every man in there was like hyper masculine and tough and like just muscular. And they all talked like this. They all had deep voices. It was almost like a direction from John McTiernan for them to talk that way, because he wanted them to be manly men who were just tough, and their voice, their register was so low. I'm Billy, I'm not afraid of no man, and you're Billy. Blah, blah, blah. Everybody's like that, you know. They're doing hyper masculine handshakes. They're arm wrestling. They're saying hello. Their greeting is an arm wrestle. That's how tough they are. They might as well just punch each other in the face to wake each other up in the morning after spooning all night. But those dudes are so hyper masculine. It's just funny. Like, I just noticed it as a kid. But that's what makes that movie great, that movie Predator, because then they all just get picked off one by one by this alien. Like, doesn't even, it's like, where go your masculinity now? Where go your toughness? Where are your big guns at? How good are your muscles when you're just being de-brained and de-spined by an alien from another alien universe? Where's the Predator from? I watched Predators. That was pretty good. That's when you got a Lawrence Fishburne that's hiding. Why is Lawrence Fishburne always underground? Why is he always hiding underground? Every time you see him, and he's in Lawrence Fishburne. You got to cover him in like rags and say he's a part of the Matrix. He's in Zion. I got a problem with Zion. I'm gonna get to that in a minute. But then you got him in John Wick's, and John Wick's, he's like, I'm a homeless guy, but I'm actually a mastermind. He's always like a tattered and torn mastermind who's hiding out from the Predators, hiding out from the Matrix, from the Sentinels, hiding out from the people in the Parabellum, the situation, the John Wick situation. Guys, I watched John Wick 3, so good. Here's my problem with Zion. You got the most highly technologically advanced, weirdly underground society, but they could not afford a sewing machine. All of their clothes are coming apart. They've got machines that they can get inside and shoot. All of their clothes are dirty. They can't build a washing machine. They can't figure out how fibers connect. Everything's just coming apart. Guys, you're spending all defund your police and start paying for some new clothes. Go to Banana Republic or something. What's going on with you guys from the Matrix? You guys got to get... You're so well dressed inside the Matrix. You know what style looks like. Why don't you just dress like that in the real life? Oh, you want contrast. I see. I don't know. Just sew your shirt. It's embarrassing. Don't go to school with holes in your shirt. Some people can't help it, I suppose. Hey, everybody on Facebook. Welcome. Nice to see you. I have 3 viewers on Facebook. I've got this new program now where I'm streaming out to everybody. Listen, I'm going off on Zion. I don't like it. I don't like why they can't afford clothing in Zion, but they can build all these different types of defense machines. I thought from watching the first Matrix that an electromagnetic pulse was very expensive and very difficult for them to do. And I thought that was like their biggest weapon. I thought that was their greatest weapon and their greatest defense for the folks in Zion in the Matrix movies. However, they got all those machine guns and stuff, and you're like, wait a minute. Stop it. Just stop. Go back to the rave and continue to dance. Maybe dance the aliens, the machines away. Switch up. Slavery in Europe and North Africa and America was all terrible. Yes, there's so much slavery in all different forms all through history. Right now, there's like lots of slavery going on with sex work, all over the world. Not sex work, sex slaves. So awareness. Just be aware of it. Combat it. Find it out. Expose it. It's a problem. It's a problem. Hey guys, I'm Aristotle Full Throttle, and I'm here to tell you that slavery is a problem. And has always been. Thank you. That's my hot take. And I'm going to drink some coffee about it. Yummy coffee. So good. You guys remember Coffee Brown? Maybe, maybe not. 46 minutes into the Aristotle Full Throttle podcast. I will call it a podcast. You know what? I might put this on the podcast situation. We'll do that. Maybe we'll reach out to some more people. That'll be great. We do this every day at noon. We talk about all kinds of stuff. Wherever the conversation takes us. Usually starts out with nerdy movie stuff. Not dirty movie stuff, nerdy movie stuff. You might want to go to a different channel if that's what you're looking for. What you been up to, 420 artist? 420 artists. How have you been? Tell us. Give us an update in your life. We're here to drop some new truth bombs. Truth bomb. I put truth bomb all over my face and my eyes. It's Friday. TGIF. Are you guys working right now? What are you up to? This is me working. If you want to support my work, I do this work for free. But if you want to support it, you can go to patreon.com/Aristotle Full Throttle and, pledge $1, a $2, a $3, a $30 a month to my channel. And we'll continue to spread the joy and the love. And I hope that one day I'll never get so powerful that I would sell out my integrity and conscience to corporate America. If that ever happens, you can stomp on my toes. I'll allow it. Actually, I won't allow it. I'm allowing it now in the future, but if my future self is so corrupted by corporate America and you come up to me and stomp on my toes, I'm smiling upon that moment now, even though it hasn't taken place yet. Because that version of me in a parallel universe is a dick. We want to do the right thing. That's why we watch these movies. I love Superman because he does the right thing. Despite everything. He's a model of good behavior. What we have to do, and I think that this is important that we decide this within ourselves, change your routine, change your ideas, incorporate new ideas into your world. If you live in the city, go spend some time in the country. If you live in the country, go spend some time in a city. If you live in the suburbs, I'm sorry. But it's important that we expose our personal experience. It creates a better worldview. I know that when I started taking my own life into my own hands after college and traveling, I know that my whole perspective on life itself changed, and it continues to change every time I go to a nude place. Every time I go to a new place, my perspective changes slightly, and it's for the better, I think, because it helps me understand different contexts of different lives, different lifestyles. Mando. Man, I love Carl Weathers in The Mandalorian. He was over the top for the first couple episodes that he was in. He's like, Mando, I'm here to tell you what mission you have for next time. I thought it was funny because I think by the time he was in episode 7 of the 8 episodes, someone had noted that Carl Weathers is just really going for the role because he's like, I'm in a Star Wars movie. I'm going to be very official and strong, and I'm going to use my charisma and my energy. But there's a really funny moment when, spoiler alert, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right before Carl Weathers' character in The Mandalorian gets healed up by Baby Yoda in that scene, he got bit by one of those flying night dragons, and he was in the venom was spreading through his body, and he was going to lose his arm or even his life. And he's like, oh my God, it's... And then the little Baby Yoda was coming up. He's like this. He's trying to use his hand to heal. He's like, he's going to eat me. It's a really funny scene because in that scene, I forget her name, but she says, good God, you're so dramatic, or something hilariously on the nose, because they were just pointing out how much energy Carl Weathers was putting into his performance. Sha-Tang, how you doing out there? I just gave you a shout out. You probably just woke up. You're like, uh-oh. Am I on? You're on. Take over. This is a fun thing. Expressing viewpoints that maybe people aren't exposing themselves to. Listen, everybody, go out there and expose yourself. Okay? Tell them I said that. I think people would appreciate it if you went out there and exposed yourself. If you know what I mean. I'm saying, like, take your pants off and expose yourself. No, I'm not. I'm saying travel. Learn about life a little bit. I don't know everything about life. I don't hardly know anything. The one thing I know is I know nothing. And that's how I treat it. I'm like, I don't know anything. So every experience is a new one. And if you know everything, congratulations, you've done it. You're done. You can graduate. You can jump off a cliff and knowing that you've known everything. Sometimes when I encounter a young person and they're like, this is how things should be and that's how things should be, even though I'm kind of hoping for things to be a certain way too. But they say it with such authority and such, like, I know what's best. I'm 21 years old. I know what's best. It's like, okay. I just got to go, yeah, I remember when I knew everything too. When I was your age, I knew everything also. It's true. That attitude usually sheds. And then you kind of regroup because something will happen in life. My favorite thing about life is that it offers up things that you could never imagine or predict. That's my favorite thing about life. And by my favorite, I mean my least favorite. And I also mean my favorite because it teaches us lessons. But it's also my least favorite because we're like, God damn it, I did not prepare for any of this. I had no idea that this was going to happen in my life. I didn't prepare for it. It's like my mind works that I do love. Truth bombing has begun. Thank you, Papageddon. That's what you got to do. You got to drop the truth bombs. But yeah, one of my favorite things is learning that I know nothing. Learning that I know nothing. We all know nothing. Something happens. This is a little insight into me. I was hit by a car years ago. But I had plans. And I was upset because that was not a part of my plan. I said that. I got up off the ground, off the street, when I was hit by the car, and I was like, this was not a part of my plan. And that is a microcosm of life, ladies and gentlemen. When you're running and you have plans, and you're running, and then you get hit by a car out of nowhere, because life is like that car hitting you. You go, oh, wait, yeah, okay, I just got to be ready for stuff to happen that I did not plan for. You don't have to expect it, but just be aware that stuff that you did not plan on happening will happen. Just be aware of that. It might change your frame. It might change your perspective. You might be like, hey, I thought I knew everything, but I don't know nothing. There's a song by Primus called Mr. Know-It-All. It is pure irony, Stags. I agree with you, Stags 45. You don't plan on those things. You think George Floyd planned? Think about this, and I hate to bring it down, but we need to recognize, we need to kind of like sit in this for a second. You think George Floyd went to the frickin' store to buy a pack of cigarettes that day, expecting anything other than to come home with a pack of cigarettes? Did you think he was going to change the world? Did he think that? No. And that's life. And death, sadly. He just wanted a friggin' pack of cigarettes. Or whatever it was he was buying at the store. But now the world's changed. Hopefully. Hopefully for the better and hopefully for good. Because I think right now is the moment where we can say, this is the perfect moment for us all to just be on the same side and figure out the stuff and combat racism effectively. However, the president of the United States is like, how do I keep my audience loving me? How do I really try to continue to pander to a base that makes me feel good about myself because I'm a malignant narcissist and I have no ability to look outside my own self? That's all he cares about. So the result of that is the confirmation of people who are actually politicizing and making it a black versus white thing. It's not. It's about underprivileged versus a broken system. It's not about a black versus white thing. It's definitely about the police versus black thing. It's definitely about that, because that is a real thing. And it could not have been illustrated any clearer than a few weeks ago. I'm glad that some people are acknowledging that this is a real thing, but there's a lot of resistance going on, and I'm experiencing this resistance with some people where they're like, well, it's not that bad. You didn't get it that bad, and it's not my fault. I'm one of the good ones. You know, it's like there's none of this going around. I don't care about the blame game. We're not doing that right now. We're just trying to solve the problem. Let's solve the problem. But part of solving the problem is acknowledging there's a problem and also acknowledging the pain of others. Empathy, guys. 1:45 left on Instagram. If you want to continue chatting, you can jump over to AristotleFullThrottle.com. I'll be live there for a few more minutes, hanging out. We like to go extra long. It's Friday. Friday. Every day at noon we do the show. I upped the ante this week by streaming on multiple platforms. It's so much fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy that we can have as wide reach now, and I want to get some maximum reach. I'm going to challenge myself next week and turn this into a podcast that you can receive on your device and listen to it at any time. Because we're building an empire brick by brick here. Brick by brick. We're building a fro, curl by curl. One by one. Imagine we all had fros, and it was people with fros and people without fros. The people with fros were the ones that were in power because of the spectacular mane, and the people without fros were subjugated. Could you imagine that? I think that would be a hilarious illustration of what's going on and how arbitrary it is. Well, guys, I hope you have a wonderful weekend over there on Instagram. We're going to hang out here for longer on YouTube, so if you're on YouTube, let's keep on chatting. I hope that we have successfully put Tatiana to restful sleep tonight. Have a wonderful weekend. You're the best. I'm Aristotle Full Throttle, your bro in the know with the fro. See you Monday. Cool, guys. It's just us now. It's really cool how trying to figure out how to talk. Oh yeah, words. Some people, I think, are surprised by my. I don't know if they're surprised, but they're finally. If people are willing to listen, I'm like, hey guys, if you're willing to listen, I'm going to talk about it because I feel like my whole life I've been talking about this stuff, or every time I bring it up, it's kind of like swept under the carpet and just like, I don't know about that. I don't know if what you're saying is real. I'm going to help deny your reality and make sure that I am not aware of it, so because it will make me feel uncomfortable to know that that's actually happening for you. That goes on a lot. But now that people are acknowledging it, I'm just like, oh, cool. Well, let's actually work it out now. I'm here to help. I'm here to be part of the problem, part of the solution. I don't think any of us individually are part of. I mean, every one of us is part of a structural problem because there's people participating in it begrudgingly and knowingly on all sides, as the president says. What we should be doing is demonstrating and protesting and demanding for change because that is what actively changes the system. We're watching that happen daily. I mean, it was a huge triumph for all Black Lives Matter this week. It's a huge triumph for trans and sexual orientation and all of these like self-identifying issues because discrimination is just discrimination. I don't care. I don't care who you are. If you don't like somebody for anything other than how they behave and what they do, what they demonstrate to you, if you hate them based on any other reason, it's like you got to figure out why that is. If Tatiana says, if I tease my curls, I can fro. It blows in the wind, though. Yeah, I feel you on that, Tatiana. The hair situation, it's like one of my favorite questions I get from my hair is like, how long does it take you to do your hair? And I'm like, well, first thing in the morning, I wake up. So that's a fun question I get. Maybe I'll do a TikTok about that. TikTok is blowing up. It's pretty cool. I don't want to. What I want people to do. There's always a way to frame things. You can say I don't want this, but then you're just focusing on the thing that you don't want, or at least you're mentioning it and manifesting it. What you could say is what I do want is this, which gives you a direction to move in. Gives you a goal in mind. Gives you an image that you will take every opportunity consciously and unconsciously to work toward. For instance, I clearly, when I was very young, going to rock concerts and going to these arenas and stuff and going to shows and seeing like all the behind the scenes and looking at the sides of the stage and watching the people carry out the equipment and plug in the gear and doing all this, watching the sound guy in the back or the sound woman and like looking at the lights and how they're all set up and watching the performers perform. I clearly pictured myself doing that. Yeah, I clearly pictured, and then eventually that came to pass because I had an image of that my whole youth. And I feel like it's people are like, oh, you're a hippie, you want to Zen manifest everything. There's some truth to it. If you create an action plan in your mind, you're physically working yourself toward that goal. It's just a truth. That's what we do here. TikTok with the same name. Blow dry your hair upside down. Yes. And that's the trick. Angela, that's so true. I did not once for a 70s party sprayed it, freeze it, hairspray. It was a huge fro, and it's way... That's pretty spectacular, Tatiana. We're going to have to see pictures of that. Put that on Twitter. We're going to have to see that. That's kind of amazing. But that's a trick, Angela. I would hang upside down and blow dry. I would put spray because it would be... That was when I cared a little bit more about what's going on up here. And so there's pictures of me there where I look like Goku from Dragon Ball Z, because my hair just goes like straight up, like it's like I have Super Saiyaned myself. But Tatiana, we want to see what that looked like, because I'm sure it was spectacular. I think the 70s are fun. People let their hair grow the way it grows, you know what I mean? They let it grow and show. We've got a standard of beauty in America where it's based on Europeanness. And it's kind of a standard of beauty across the board. But there's all kinds of beautiful faces and beautiful hairstyles from all over the planet that you will see. There's really funny and interesting studies they do where they show, just Google it, standards of beauty all over the world. And they'll show a picture of someone who you think is beautiful in one culture, and then they'll show how people rate them across cultures. And people gravitate toward different features and different things. And our society definitely gravitates toward that. You know, it definitely did before Sir Mix-a-Lot. Before the great knight, Sir Mix-a-Lot, came along to illustrate that, yeah, people like big butts. They cannot lie about that. That standard shifted. That was a shifting in the standard of beauty. The 80s was all about like, oh my God, my butt is so big. And then Sir Mix-a-Lot was like, excuse me, ladies. I would like to represent probably the majority contingent of people who are attracted to ladies and let you know that your big butt is something that I like. Good day, lady. And that is how Sir Mix-a-Lot presented it culturally. We're going to rewrite history. I think it would be hilarious to watch Sir Mix-a-Lot with his glasses and his hat, but also dressed in like a knight's uniform in the armor. And like, or as a messenger, a medieval messenger, unrolling a scroll. I doth proclaimeth that I, Sir Mix-a-Lot, of a long line of Mix-a-Lots, of the village from Seattle, Mix-a-Lot, I, Sir Mix-a-Lot, musician, entertainer, poet, laureate of Seattle, like big butts. Thank you, Sir Mix-a-Lot. I think that Sir Mix-a-Lot is the town crier for sure. Angela says, Sir Mix-a-Lot town crier. He doth proclaimeth from henceforth this moment onward, all big butts and all sized butts shall be celebrated. It is spoken. Most people say, I would like to lose this butt, but you can keep that butt. Sir Mix-a-Lot says, you do have people who love your particular sized butt. This is how it will be rewritten. I hope. All inclusive. Sir Mix-a-Lot. Celebrating different sized butts and his particular preference. And that's what we talk about here at Aristotle Full Throttle. We have a good time. We just let our hair down, or we let our hair out. Right? We break up the curl. Let's do it. I'm going crazy today. I'm going to break the curl up. Let's get it out. Let's let our hair out. Fridays, that's what we do here. I got just one straight curl over here. What you doing? Get back in there. Thank you. What does that curl think he is? That curl needs to go away. Sir Mix-a-Lot the Fresh. I am Sir Mix-a-Lot. Where's Sir Mix-a-Lot at anyway? We need him in a time like this. Damn it. Seriously though, guys, I do think that this show is fun and it's worth it, and you guys are fun and we're having a good time together, and we'll make it fun. We'll make it worth it. People will make this show undeniable at some point. That's what they say. They say be so entertaining and fun that you're undeniable, and that's what we're gonna do. Screw this Hollywood system. Screw the way the system exists. Let's do it on our own because we can. Look, Macklemore won like Album of the Year and they were unsigned. Afro Man himself, my inspiration. Afro Man, the original unsigned artist, Afro Man in 2001 with his And Then I Got High opus, his masterpiece. I was gonna clean my room, but then I got high. Remember this song? Beautiful song. Art. Never even recorded the song. The song you heard on the radio was a live performance. It went on the radio because he kind of made up that song that afternoon. It went on the radio. Da 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 da. And it became a hit. The dude didn't have a record contract. He was unsigned. He became the #1 artist in the world. And that marked the change in what you can do on your own with social media, because it was a downloaded song on Napster. Remember Napster? Justin Timberlake invented it. When he was on Napster, you know, it's funny, Justin Timberlake played the guy who invented Napster, but then he owned like half of MySpace, and MySpace, I think it's still a thing. I don't know. Maybe. There's no way of ever knowing if MySpace still exists. It's impossible. You got the curls. There's always that one curl. Am I right? There's always that one curl. You gotta tell that curl to sit back down, curl. No, I'll let the curls do what they want. That's what I'm very permissive. I'll allow it. You guys can do whatever you want. I'm not about to oppress you, curls. I'm a social justice warrior. Good God. I almost sounded like... That's terrible. I almost sounded like I was Charles Barkley. Oh, that's terrible. Now, let me say one thing. As Charles Barkley, I played basketball for many years. I have a story for you guys. I don't know if I've told you this story. Yeah, I do it. First time I met Aristotle, I saw his hair, and it was like new person on set. Yeah, I remember those first several shows. I would kind of just go in with the hair, and then I realized as a set photographer, I don't know. What do you guys think about this? I felt it was unprofessional of me to have my hair like this, and that is a massive problem. That's a massive issue that people face. Like they say dreadlocks, unprofessional, braids, unprofessional. But some people, that's how their hair go. That's how it is. That's a hairstyle. That's just how my hair is gonna grow. This is the way it's gonna look. This is my hair. So if I show up on a set and this is my hair, I would think at some point, and this was me conforming in some way, and I started to wear a hat. I don't know if you remember that, Shy. I would wear a hat. I'd pull my hair back and wear a hat over it because I was like, this is going to be too distracting. I am going to be a distraction as a set photographer with my hair all out, and people going to be like looking at I just want to fade into the back, into the side, because set photographer is a weird dance. You got to be in the right place at the right time. You got to make sure that all the moving parts around you, you've got to step in at the right time. You've got to not distract anybody while they're acting. You don't want to be a distractor to an actor. And yeah, I was like, well, I need to cover my hair. And I don't know if that was like a self-conscious thing, or if it was a practical thing, or if it was a weird social pressure that was like, oh, your haircut is unprofessional because it's unkempt. It's your hair. Your hair, the way it's so wild, it doesn't sit flat on your head. we need to cover that up. No one said that to me. No one explicitly said that to me at all. No one even, I don't think, implied that. So let me just be clear on that. That was me thinking that maybe I should do that. That was all my decision. But I wonder if that was based in some kind of like how I thought I was being perceived. But I don't know. So I was on set one time a couple years ago. I was an extra in a commercial for a Capital One commercial. And I'm like standing right in front. I should find this commercial so I can make a joke about how you can see the back of my head. But if you know the Capital One commercials, you know that Samuel L. Jackson is one of the spokespeople. Spike Lee was directing this one. He was directing this Capital One commercial because, you know, he's a director and he want to make that money too. And a lot of these major corporations hire A-list directors just so that they can say they directed it and have like that kind of stamp of art on it. And also, Charles Barkley was in this commercial. So Samuel L. Jackson, Charles Barkley, and Spike Lee are all in the commercial because, you know, Spike Lee likes to put himself in the movies that he makes and also this commercial. And we're standing outside the arena. I forget, in like downtown LA, outside downtown. And so I got to stand next to, this is awesome. These are stories I have in my life that I'm so glad that I could share these with you. But I'm standing next to Charles Barkley, who's standing next to Samuel L. Jackson, who's standing next to Spike Lee, and I'm 5 feet away from them because my role in the Capital One commercial. And it was freaking amazing because I got to stand next to them for hours and hours and listen to their conversations. I was like friendly, like, hi, how you guys doing? But, you know, it's Charles Barkley, it's Samuel L. Jackson, and it's Spike Lee. 3 massive icons. And I was just kind of like this all day, pretending like I was not listening to every single word they were saying, but they were 2 feet away. I'm listening to these guys have these conversations. The best part about that day was Samuel L. Jackson is so proud and excited, much like I am about the show, about sharing his experiences on all of the movies he's worked on. So he was literally talking about Deep Blue Sea. I'm watching Samuel L. Jackson describe Deep Blue Sea to Charles Barkley and Spike Lee. And he's like, and then when I was in that movie, I was giving a speech and then a shark comes up and grabs me. I'm like, yes, Sam Jackson, we know. We've all seen the scene. And he's telling us this story. It was so funny. He's telling them the story and I'm listening. And Charles Barkley was just like, oh, yeah, that was a good movie. I liked you when you were in that movie with the shark. That was really good. What was that other movie you did with... and they're making conversation. He's like, and then Sam Jackson's like, yeah, and then that was on Snakes on a Plane. And I was like, get these motherfucking snakes off this motherfucker. And I'm like, yes, Samuel L. Jackson. All of us have seen that movie. All of us love you. You're phenomenal. And then Charles Barkley, that was a wonderful movie. Why didn't they make another sequel to that movie? It's just unbelievable conversation. It was exactly the conversation you would think you would hear from those 3 people. And then Spike Lee, you know, he's directing, so he's kind of telling the only woman of color I've ever seen be a camera operator. She's a black woman doing the camera operator. I'm like, I've been working in Hollywood for like damn near 20 years, and I've never seen a black woman as a camera operator. Good on you, Spike Lee. Because I think a lot of times in certain positions, people don't see an example of someone who can obviously operate a camera. And it's good to give people jobs who are qualified and good at them. And people just assume, I don't know. We'll talk about that on Monday. But one of my favorite parts about that day was when this is right before The Hateful Eight came out. Samuel L. Jackson was trying to convince Spike Lee. This is a true story. True story, guys. Samuel L. Jackson was trying to convince Spike Lee to come to the premiere of The Hateful Eight, and Spike Lee notoriously does not go see Quentin Tarantino movies. And this is before BlacKkKlansman came out. And so Spike Lee doesn't go see Quentin Tarantino movies. And he's spoken out against Quentin Tarantino for using the N-word as much as he does. But Samuel L. Jackson is in both of all of their movies. Samuel L. Jackson is a collaborator with Spike Lee. He's a collaborator with Quentin Tarantino. And he's in every Quentin Tarantino movie since Pulp Fiction, pretty much. And it's pretty funny because Sam Jackson's telling Spike Lee, well, you know, because Spike Lee was like, well, I didn't like when you were using the N-word that much in Django. I didn't like when you guys were using the N-word in Django, because it's the movie with the most N-words, and it's directed by Quentin Tarantino, and I disagree with his use of the N-word. And Sam Jackson's like, yeah, but you got to understand, it was the vernacular. That's how people talked back then. And Spike Lee's like, no, I don't like it. I think that you should. And then I was watching Sam Jackson try to convince Spike Lee to come to the premiere of The Hateful Eight. And it was the funniest thing. Sam Jackson's like, and then I'll talk to Quentin and say that, and have him come to the premiere of BlacKkKlansman. If you come to the premiere of The Hateful Eight, and maybe he's like, you know, you could just do that, and I'll work out a deal between you guys. You know, that would be great, because then you could. He's like really trying to get him to jump on board. And Spike Lee's just like this. Spike Lee was about 3 feet tall. Very funny moment in my life, and I like to share that with you. I got stories, man. I got crazy stories. Maybe we'll talk about Kevin Spacey on Monday. Don't worry, I'll show you on Baby Yoda where he touched me. All right, guys, that's it. That's it for today. I think we covered everything that was in the Snydercut. I think I'm excited to see it. I think that it's good for Zack Snyder to come back to the project and complete what he had thought of. I'm glad that they're giving him money to do that. I think Zack Snyder is a decent artist, and he just needs to work harder on the story parts. That's all. He's good. I like those heroes. I like the actors who play those heroes. Jason Momoa, though, I swear to God, he's so charismatic that it's okay that he can't act. He's like a gigantic, jacked Keanu Reeves in a lot of ways. It's not that he can't act. It's just that he doesn't really have to. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me on Aristotle Full Throttle. I appreciate you. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Keep your distance. Keep your curls together. Blow dry your hair upside down. Pick it out if you want. There's always that one curl. All right, guys. I appreciate you. I'm Aristotle Full Throttle. You bro in the know with the fro. I'll see you Monday.